Nice that you guys are here. We're the Sick Individuals, and we're going to tell you a little bit about what we do, what kind of music we do, how we make our tracks. Last year we talked a lot about like our pop song kind of structure, kind of songs. This year we're going to talk a little bit more about our club music, how we do that, and we have a lot of things.
And we just flew in yesterday evening. We had the Asia tour like just before this, so we prepared a little bit. But feel free to ask questions, or if we scroll through a project and you see like, hey, how do you do this or whatever, we just raise your hand and we'll ask you.
Yeah, be free to ask anything about our projects. So, Sick Individuals. We started in 2011, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot of shows. We just came back from Asia. It was really cool. And now we're here to talk about our music. And we're going to do a little bit of step-by-step about how we start our pop song structures, how we start from step-by-step. And after that, we're going to talk about all the club stuff. So this is our process, right?
Like, and this is what, like last year we talked a lot about, like, we went deeper into this, but I think it's just good to know like how we kind of write a song and how you start building a pop record.
Because there are so many ways to create a track, but where do you start? And we start always with the songwriting. So we get a singer or a songwriter to our studio, we go to somewhere, and we start writing melodies, and we start writing some parts of the lyrics, right?
Some part of the lyrics, we just sit down on the piano and record everything on our phone, so everything is super demo, super rough. Maybe some words are in it or not. That's kind of the really beginning of the process.
Yeah. And then, so that's the lyrics in the first vocal recording. That's what we do. So sometimes there aren't even lyrics, but we record the melodies so we have it. And especially when you're writing songs, you could actually use your phone and just record a voice memo and use that, because sometimes you think of a melody and you just want to have it and very quickly, and we just airdrop it into our project and we have something. So that's how we work. As soon as we have the melodies and we have some lyrics and we're happy about that, we stop the session, the guy goes home, and we go back into the studio, and then we try out if we want to do different kind of chords underneath what we made. Because if you have a nice melody, it doesn't say that you have to keep the right chords, because different chords give different kind of feeling to the track. So it could be like a very happy song, or a very, like, I don't know, dramatic song. It really depends on what kind of chords, what kind of harmonies you do underneath.
And most of the time, like, we start with a kind of a simple chord progression, and then we write a kind of cool but simple melody on top of it. And then, like, the next day we come back to the studio and we think, okay, this complements each other, but not in a way like we want it. So then we change the chords into like a totally different harmonies, and then it gives the vocal a way more interesting way of looking at it. So I will play you some examples.
So we made a track, and the vocals were there, and then at that point we were saying like, okay, are these the right chords? Is this the right feeling that we're looking for this track? And that's where we try to make a lot of different kind of versions and see what we like the most.
So we just say like, hey, okay, for 3 hours, we have 2 studios next to each other. So he goes into a studio and just create like 3 or 4 ideas with the same. Like we just stamp out the vocals, so only the vocals, nothing is underneath there, and then we just create ideas from there. So I will play you like some ideas for the track "Walk Away," what we did, some different versions.
You have the original here? Let's start with that.
Yes, I think I have to. This is the original. Somewhere. Walk away. No.
Well, als je walk intypt.
Deze. Nee.
Ja.
Ah ja, dit is niet de laatste, maar goed.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. This is red, right? Blue. This is the original. Maybe not the latest version, but...
lot of
Bob.
bass, huh?
I don't know why you're changing the vibe when it's perfectly right. And I can't understand why you hold me to promises that I never can. You gon' worry about tomorrow, then you're gonna miss the day. You're too hung up on the future, then I might just walk away, walk away. Just walk away,
Yeah.
just walk away.
So this is the original, and then, but before that, we created like a 70s version.
I don't know why you're changing the vibe when it's perfectly right. And I can't understand why you want me to promises that I never can. If you gon' worry about tomorrow, then you're gonna miss the
And you hear like this is like such a different kind of vibe with the same vocal, you know?
different chords,
Yeah, different chords,
different instruments. So it's good. Like this is just to get our creativity flowing and feel like, hey, what works the best for this vocal? This is more like a arpeggio kind of weird version.
If you gon' worry about tomorrow, then you're gonna miss the day. Too hung up on the future, then I might just walk away, walk away, walk away, walk away, just walk away.
Or like the trap version. And here we have.
I don't know why you're changing the vibe when it's perfectly right. And I can't understand why you hold me to promises, walk away. Tomorrow, I guess it's over. If those are all the words you've got to say, I'll just close the door and walk away, walk away. Just walk away, just walk away.
Yeah.
The last one is, I love this one. It's a 2-step version.
I thought we were fine, no complications, just sharing the night.
So with this song, we actually went like totally crazy. We actually made 20 different kind of versions, which I would say don't do that.
Waste of time, but
it was
fun
a waste
to do.
of time, but it was fun. But then again, you know, eventually you will feel like, okay, this is the right way we want to do it with this vocal. And you can even do that a lot easier than actually finishing these songs how they sound right now, just by changing the chords underneath the vocal, where you can say, okay, this is really beneficial for the vocal, how it sounds now, the kind of emotion, and then everything is good. So that's
So the kind of tip is like,
Yeah.
just don't stick with the vocals you originally wrote. Like, just feel free to change it afterwards. The
So,
drop section, yeah.
with these kind of songs, we always start with the break, with the melodies, with the vocal, and then we figure out, okay, what kind of drop do we actually want to make on this one?
Yeah, and then sometimes the problem starts that we wrote a really nice break, but it's way too happy, for instance. And then the drops comes in, and a happy drop never works with us. So we always like to keep the drop in minor. And then, so that happens sometimes, and then we go back into the break and change the chords again. So that happens, but it's good, like if you have like 4 or 5 different versions, you have something to choose from, so you can go back into another version, which one you really liked as well. And then, yeah, the next step is structure. So we just structure the track, basically. And what we feel most of the time that we miss a kind of a bridge, or we call it a middle eight, how do you want to call it? So then kind of we ring the guy again, like the singer, and that's the next step. He comes back in, and we record and write the final vocals.
Yeah. And at that point, we have everything. You know, we have the project, we have the final takes, and we start doing the vocal editing. And we actually do that in a separate project instead of the whole. So we have a project where we have all our synths and kicks and stuff, and then we have a project where we do the complete vocal editing, compression, reverb, delays. We all bounce it out and put it back into the project, just like if you would have
A remix.
A remix. You
Yeah.
would have stems and you would start making a track. So we just make it the best we can as we get it like from a sound engineer. And
So we have mostly we have a lead vocal, then we have a dub vocal, and then we have a harmony vocal.
Yeah.
So mostly we have 3 stems that we import into our main composition project.
So then we have the final project, and we look at everything, how it sounds. You go into the mixing and mastering and fine-tuning of the track. So that's like basically the 10 steps that we go through every time when we make a song. And sometimes it changes, like you have the chords already and everything goes really fast. But I think it's always I think it's always good to have a good look at, like, is this the best I can do with this song? All right. So this is the
pop stuff.
the pop music side. But when we make club tracks, it actually is a little bit different. So we're gonna put this in Jim's computer.
Where I have a project open, a club track.
It's on this side.
Oh.
Yeah.
Here we go. Is it working? Ja. Heb je die even die stappen uitleggen? Hoe hebben die stappen toch?
So, let's have a look at that. So, I think we talked about, like, the radio-friendly music. Choose your sounds wisely. You know, less is more. And if you don't hear it, don't use it. Those kind of stuff is that's very important when you make a radio song. But for a club song, it's about a lot of different things, especially about, like, how does it sound in the club or in a festival. Well, it's all about the bass, probably. If it has like a fat kick and a fat bass, then people are like, yes, I want more of this. So that's a very important thing. And it doesn't matter if you make progressive house or deep house or techno. I think in a club, that's a very important factor that you have to look at, and something you have to tweak all the time when you're making a club track. So this is one of our songs. It's called People I Love. This is the club mix. We actually made a radio-like friendly song of this, and eventually we really wanted to do it in the club as well.
Let's just go through
right?
it. Maybe you guys know it already. Maybe not. Hopefully everything is working. I just played from the breakdown.
Can I see you tomorrow, my good friend? 'Cause I don't wanna get older. And come down tomorrow, my good friend. I don't wanna get older till I see you again.
So that's kind of the idea of the song. Just let's go through it a little bit. Start with the kick. We just use a separate top kick and a low kick. And just a cool trick, what we use a lot, we bounce everything to audio. And if you want your kick shorter or longer, or like it has to be more impact, what you can do, if you work with Logic, you can slow your kick down, and you create more bass. You can hear it? So if I do this, you have even more bass. On the first one, actually. Wait, otherwise I delete everything. Hoor je verschil? So with this slope, oh fuck, now I'm stretching it. So with this slope, what you do, now you hear it, right?
So what we do at the end of like the curve of that sound, we actually slow down, and so it goes like, and if you do that with a kick, you get more low end at the
Your
end.
kick, yeah.
And you can decide with that kick at like what point you want to stop the bass sound. So you can cut it off where you want it to stop. Sometimes you have a kick goes really deep and low. It doesn't work because the track gets really sloppy. So at some point you want to cut off that kick and think, okay, this is the lowest I want to go with that kick. And that's how we do it with this project as well.
I think I sloped it already with this one.
Yeah.
But normally we just take the kick, make a good slope, and we think, okay, now the balance between the sub is great, and then we bounce it out, and then we fade it. So what you saw in the beginning, our kick is, when I up Z, you see all our kicks have a fade.
Yeah, they're actually a lot longer. Yeah.
Oh,
This is a kick that we actually made, I think, a couple of years ago, but we're still using it because we can change it into like what kind of slope you want to have. Some guys, they make a kick and they want it in exactly the same key of the track, but you don't really have to do that if your slope is just the right way.
Yeah, you
But
don't. There's no tone in this.
Yeah,
in the
there's
kick,
no actually tone in this kick. This kick goes like do. So some guys use a kick, they just go like straight into a tone like do, 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 and then you have a problem that you want that kick exactly in the same key of your track. But if you do it this way, you have like even like a, you know, if you have a drum kick from a drum set, it doesn't really have to have a tone. So if you do it this way, especially for progressive house, it really works really well. And you can decide for yourself how much low end you want to use. Because the kick just goes like, dude.
What we do too, like then we create the bass, and like just a tip how you can mix your bass and your kick really well. We bounce it out. We bounce out the kick and the bass together, and then you just look at the waveform, like your kick. You look at your waveform, your kick, and you see like in the beginning it goes really like nicely down, and if that's still happening with the new bounce with your kick and your bass, if it's still happening, like the same kind of waveform is still there, then you know like, okay, my kick is sounding good, and of course you can hear it as well, but that's just a good reference. So this is the main kick and bass. Then we put kind of a flow, this one as well, just to give it a bit of a oink, oink, yeah, on the kick. I don't know how you saw this. And then we have high bass, just to make it punch out your mix with all the big chords on top. These are the drums.
Yeah. I think one of the most difficult things about this project is that we have synths all on top of the first. So it goes like ba 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 ba, and that's where the kick is as well. So the kick goes like boom boom boom, but the synths go like da 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 da. So that's pretty difficult, you know. You have that kick and you have the synths all at the same time. And how are you going to do that with mixing, you know? So what we do with the synths, we actually put on like a XFO tool, so an LFO tool, where we can take out the first part of the synth. So you won't hear that when you're playing the kick, because you want to hear that top end of that kick. You want to have that kick completely clear in your mix.
So all these synths, like you see, these like a lot of synths create the main sound actually, but they all go through this bus. So we have always these two LFO tools are on it. So one is just giving the top kick like some freedom, and the other one is giving the sidechain feel. So this one.
Yeah.
And I just can play you like how the sound came together from all the synths. Let me do it a little louder. So as you can hear, we even add vocals like this to create some extra feel to it. And then what we always do, the second part, we just write a different melody, kind of the same, on the same chords, that goes.
like to layer everything and whatever we do, and
It's hard
I
with
think-
mixing though, but yeah.
Yeah, but eventually, if you use like the way we use our LFO tools, then it's always fine. If you always make sure that the first part you don't hear the synth because you want to hear that top kick, you want to hear that kick. So that's the first thing you want to hear, and you want to have that compression and LFO
and we
going
EQ
on.
as well on the bus, so all the synths
Yeah.
go to the same bus, and then if you EQ right on that bus,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you just send like a shitload of synths in
Yeah.
it.
Do you guys have any questions about this project right now? Over there. Do I need to throw you the mic or?
I hear the
Yeah.
box here.
We have a mic over here that I can throw out. I don't know if
fun,
you can
man.
reach, but watch your head, okay? Ah, pretty good.
Test. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hit it.
Yeah. About the mixing of your synths, because you have a lot of synths.
Yeah.
Just a
Do you
couple.
prefer to mix within the plugins or
No, I
afterwards?
send them all out.
The thing is, what we do, because we have like, I don't know, how many stems do we have in this project?
Not that many actually.
Okay.
Like now we bounced.
Okay.
Like, yeah, no, for us this is not that many actually.
I think like our projects mainly have like 300 stems all the time, because we just like to layer everything, and then
Don't. It's not a good tip for you guys. Like
if
if
you
don't
want to
need
have
it,
that sound, you
for
have
us
to
it
go
works.
that way. But we found a way to mix it in the right way. But if you have done something wrong, you have to. It takes a lot of time.
But
to
what we
actually
do,
fix it.
like because we have so many channels, like we at a certain point we decide, okay, now it's good, and then we just bounce it into audio. So what you see in this project, these are a lot of pianos, and then even bass as well. It's all in one stamp because we thought, like, hey, this sounds good, and then we just bounce it to audio. So that that keeps it workable, and also it's in the end for mixing wise, it's really nice if everything is into audio.
Yeah.
Then because sometimes your MIDI will change or whatever.
We don't have the
but
project
what was your
right
question
now.
again?
Yeah, we don't have the project to look into synths or something.
Ah,
but
okay, yeah.
I think these synths, when you listen to it, they're not that special when you listen to it solo-wise. But all together, you have that sound. That's what we're always looking for. So
Or magic cues. No,
Yeah,
see.
they
But
even
that's,
all-
yeah, but that's in the beginning. I think before we bounced it, we just cut up the low of the synths, and we don't use that much reverb.
you can show that magic cue, which what it does for us
Not that much, I think. Let me
for
check.
this. So I don't know if you have it in different DAWs, but with Logic, you can actually use a magic cue and throw in a track that you really like, and you can match that EQ a little bit with your track that you're working on. So if you do that with your synths, you can decide like the sound will really change. You see? I don't know really how that like it just always works if you want to have a little bit of a different kind of sound than the original synth you're using. So
But you have to keep in mind, like your original file where you're
Yeah.
referencing to should be a synth as well.
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
if you choose like a whole track and then you compare it with your synth, it will not work, of course. So
Yeah.
you have to reference with the right files. Many more questions about this project?
I have
wanna
one
see?
more
Yeah.
about your Focus One. I mean, you made your own kind of sound. I think it's like a chain that you put in this plugin.
yeah.
Don't you think it's like, I understand it's cool, but don't you think like you're narrowing down your possibilities, like the
Totally, and that's not
Sound
that's why we
creation?
created it actually,
Yeah.
because
Oh.
we
There's so many possibilities, and that's sometimes a problem for a lot of producers.
Like,
You have a lot of things
we
to
have
do,
always
right?
like with this plugin we're gonna talk to it. We're gonna talk about it later, but with the Focus One, like we felt like we had the same 5 plugins on every channel almost. So we thought like, hey, why not create a plugin that has these 5 features all in one? So for us, and I think like with the compression as well, if you at a certain point you feel like, okay, this setting of the compression is right, and then you start using it over and over, and maybe only choose more compression or less compression, but the compression is already right.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Like if you Focus One is a great quick tool to improve your mix, and you can use it. It's really light on your CPU, so you can use it on a lot of different channels. But if you really feel, okay, I'm gonna compress my entire mix, my master bus, then of course I can recommend you use other compressors as well, because ours is only one setting, of course. So, but we feel like this is a great setting for like a lot of variety. Like for vocals is great, and for our synths is great. So, but you're right. Like it's only one setting, but you can do still a lot of it with it. So you should try.
Yeah,
that.
okay. So you can use this and beside that, you can.
Yeah.
I will
Totally,
show
yeah.
you later on. Like we have another project that I want to show you because we got a lot of questions on Twitter about like if we wanted to show how we create our vocoders. So that's what we're going to show how we do that, and you'll be surprised what this plugin actually does to that sound. And that's one of the reasons why we actually wanted to put it on the web and so you guys can have it.
Do you have any more questions about this project? You want to see how we do things or whatever?
Over there.
Do you guys still know which sound packs you use for synths?
Sound packs for the synths. I think mainly those been like centuries ago.
What
right?
we do, like we always start from scratch. So we just save a lot of our own. Like if I just open up a software
You
instrument.
can show the silent that we use a lot.
Which one?
Just
So
go
see, like
silent and use
know,
all the plugins that you have in there. Yeah.
like we just create a lot of like different sounds all the time, and then we just save them. So that's how we work. If I, for instance, whatever, open like this one. See, you see there are already a lot of things on it. So that's how we mainly use it. We just start from scratch, and sometimes with a new song, mostly I like for 70% I make new sounds, and then after 60% or 70% I think, okay, this is cool, but it misses something, and then I just import a shitload of stuff I did before, and then it adds up and it creates like a thick, sick individual sound. That was your question, right? Yeah.
Over there.
Do you use a sub bass on this track?
We did with like tracks like Focus or like with more club bangers we do.
Yeah.
But with progressive, we don't do it that much actually. No, this is just if you mix it right, you don't need it actually. And I think this one, what I just showed you, the how I call this, the boom boom, gives it kind of a sub bass feel to it. The flow here, this one. If I put this higher, oh wait. So this gives the kind of like the flow of a sub bass, but it isn't really there. But it gives. So we always add kind of like, and this is just for the mid, like around 200, I think 100, 200.
Yeah.
So
All
no,
right.
we didn't use it.
Any
This
more
has already a
questions?
lot of sub. You can hear, right? The kick has already a lot of sub.
Over there. Yeah.
Oh, this
you.
one.
Ik wil die box al gooien.
Can you throw that thing over there? Yeah. Oh, good catch.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Yo.
So you have like 8-10 layers of the synths, like in this project. So you said you bus it and then you EQ like the low end.
Yeah.
But
No, mostly we EQ it already like in the channel. We EQ already the low end, and then it sounds already okay. But then in the end, we can adjust it even more with the bus. Yeah.
It's same as you use a piano. You know, when you can use a piano, you can EQ it, whatever you want to do it. As soon as you put a vocal on top of it, you want to make sure you take out some frequencies so you can hear the vocal better. So that's something what we do with the synths as well. As soon as we have everything on top, some frequencies just are too much, and then we take it out just a little bit, and that's why we use the bus.
yeah, like, the question is, so when you layer 8 or 10 synths, each synth had their own frequencies, the more dominated.
Yeah.
So you tweak the ones that you don't need, and then you match it to the other ones. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
if those one is more for the high frequency, the other one is
Yeah,
for the
totally.
mid.
Yeah, totally,
yeah. So some sounds you like them because you like that high end of that sound, so you only use that. The thing is that when we EQ a synth, we never. I can show you, like for instance, if we want to use this synth over here, this is the only thing that we're doing over here. But sometimes I see a lot of producers do this. They go like, I don't want to use this, just like that. It goes like straight.
Killed it.
And it just, if you think this is going to work in your project, no, it's not. Because if you cut off everything way too much, it's going to sound empty and it doesn't drive. You know, you need that kind of driving sound in your track.
That randomness kind of in
A
a
little
way.
bit of a randomness.
Yeah.
So sometimes things do have to conflict with each other. And that's why we sometimes, if we want to cut off this, try to keep it this way, you know, like a 6 or 12 max.
Yeah,
Just like that. And then decide where you want to cut it off. Because you don't want to cut off everything straight up, especially with synths like in a progressive song. So that's a small tip that you can use.
But the build that you did is just because one other synth is more dominated than this typical.
Yeah. So with every synth, you can decide like what would you like about it, and then try to change it in the volume.
But the thing is now, like now we bounced it out already.
Yeah.
So before this,
But you can see already like some synths are like a lot like more powerful than the other ones. So
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
More questions?
Thanks.
I'll do a selection. Do you only shade on
Yeah, we just like with this project we didn't even real sidechain. We just used the LFO2.
Yeah.
So I just showed you like these two, and the right one is always like this one is always in all our projects. Like we just always keep the top kick because it sounds way tighter. Also with the club bangers and everything. And then this one is really important, like how it changes the complete feel of the track. If I change this feel, then. So this is why we tweak a lot. Like, okay, how short can we make the synths?
We can go like this.
Yeah. We do this. So it's always like that's really a tricky part.
And with this kind of music, it's very important how your flow of your synths are, because that really. You feel it or you don't feel it, and you think like, oh, there are like way too much synths in here right now. And if you have the LFO right, then it sounds good. So.
Yeah, and also like the high frequencies, all the hi-hats that are going on and all the rides, they keep a kind of constant flow like in the high end. So you don't feel it's ducking all the time too much. Otherwise, it can be annoying for your ears as well. If I play you only the synths and the kick, you will feel the drop is not there. So the high frequencies, they are constant. They are so important. They really make the feel. It's just easier to listen to if you
All right.
have these
I
on
think
as
we're
well.
going to do one more questions about this, and then we're
Yeah,
going
go
to
ahead.
switch to the other project.
I have a question about the piano. Is
Yeah.
it a real piano which you guys use? Or
It is actually.
Yeah.
No, we combine them. So yeah.
Like we have a piano in our studio, and then I always try to record that, like double mic it. It's just a stand-up piano. Just put 2 mics up there, record that, and then we added a little bit with the pianos that we have, with contact pianos. But also the Nexus pianos are really cool. If you want to use that, you can really hear them come through your mix.
You can hear it like
Where
with
some pianos you don't hear that well.
with the demos, we just mic our piano with 2 microphones, and this is like just a demo. I'm not gonna play you the full song because it's coming out still, but this is the
This is how we start.
yeah.
I try to understand the reason why we've been
Enough.
So that's
But
where you hear
yeah,
the piano.
we just
Yeah.
really record the piano only.
Small teaser
Yeah,
over
small
there.
teaser. And then what we do, I think something we use still the Nexus piano, right? For like the vibe.
Yeah.
So we have like that main piano because it has a lot of characteristics to it and a lot of feel because we're playing it live. But then the mix down, we cannot mix it so good as like the plug-in piano. So we put some fake ones underneath, and then it sounds with the bass, of course. That's what we do.
All right. I think we're going to switch projects.
Yeah,
right?
let's do it,
Just
let's
turn
go
off
to
the
the demo.
music.
So yeah, Ray was already mentioning we want to talk a bit about the vocoding stuff we use a lot. So I can play you the example 1 second.
Ja, deze.
Zal ik die even draaien? Je voorbeeldjes.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good thing.
Even kijken. So yeah, we use maybe if you know our music, we use a lot of vocoding, and it's all Ray. He's just. So we're going to show you how we do it, but this is just a quick example, like in which track we used it.
Turn it up now. Come on, people, put your hands up now. Turn it up now. Come on, people, put your hands up now. Turn it up now. Come on, people, put your hands up now. Turn it up now. Come on, people, put your hands up now. Turn it up now. Come on, people, put your hands up now. Turn it up now. Come on, people, put your hands up now.
This one.
Let me see you get low, get low. Let me see you get low. Let me see you get low, get low. 'Cause you love it when the drums go slow.
Last one.
It's time to move it now. It's time to turn this up. Nobody's stopping now. Nobody's giving up. It's time to move it now. It's time to turn this up. Nobody's stopping now. Nobody's giving up. It's time to move it now. It's time to turn this up. Nobody's stopping now. Nobody's giving up. It's time to move it now. It's time to turn this on. Nobody's stopping now. Nobody's giving up.
Yeah, we always love to record our own vocals. It makes
Yeah.
it more unique, and you can download a lot of samples, but in general, we always try to first create our own samples with the piano as well.
It's actually
And
funny to hear this kind of music and you guys sitting down and not moving at all.
it's not working.
Let me see if this works.
We bring the action. We live for the real.
Okay, so this is a project we're still working on, though. I'll show you how this works. I have the vocal over here.
We bring the action. We live for the reaction.
So this is actually my voice. I'm going to play you this, and it's going to sound really funny.
We bring the action. We live for the reaction. We bring the action. We live.
For the reaction, we bring the action. We live for the reaction.
And that's pretty funny, huh? Like, it's not a really good artist. The funny thing is, there's actually just one way to actually record it. I actually have to sing it this way, otherwise all the pitch correction goes like completely wrong. So,
But it's funny as well.
Yeah.
Like I know you guys like it as well because it's so far away from the end result. But that's what you should keep
Yeah.
in mind if you record your own stuff. Like as well with recording the piano, sometimes we feel like, oh, this is way too thin or whatever. But the feel is there. And
Yeah.
with this one, you can you pronounce it that way because the vocoder kicks in the right way if you sing it like that, and then
Yeah.
you can really tune it right. That's why he sings it
Yeah.
so straight. But with the piano as well, sometimes it doesn't sound good in the beginning, but then, like by tweaking it and compressing it and stuff, you can really make your own good sample. You don't have to download everything from Splice. Of course, we use it as well, but
Yeah.
just create some stuff your own as well.
so I'll,
We bring the action. We live for.
The reaction.
We bring the action. We live for the reaction. We bring the action. We live for the reaction. We bring the.
now you see why we made this plugin. It's a very big difference if you put it on or not.
We bring the action.
And
we
it's
live.
definitely not only the
The volume,
volume,
yeah.
because you can hear
We bring the action. We live for the reaction. We bring the action. We live for the reaction. We bring the action. We live for the reaction. We bring the action. We live for the reaction.
So I'll play you the other one. We also use this vocoder.
We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction.
I'll put it all together now.
We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the
Start over.
reaction.
This one is really fat as well. Like this, I think the one
Yeah,
on top,
this one
right?
over here, yeah.
We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction.
It's all the same vocal, we just tune it.
Action, we live for the reaction.
So it's not even that hard actually. But people are like, how do you fucking guys doing it? But it's easy. But you have to just do it.
Questions about this over there?
Throw the mic. I got a mic here as well. Yeah.
Is it a preset in
What?
Nectar or is
No,
it?
no, I'll show you. Okay, like these are. This is what's going on over here. I'm actually just. You can use this with a sound shifter or whatever
You doesn't have to
wanna
be.
use.
Yeah, it's just a picture.
It's just pitching whatever I'm singing in. So
We bring the action,
We live for the react.
I'll show you this. So this is what
We bring the action.
you see.
We live
What
for
the keys are actually doing. It just goes 2 up.
We bring the action. We live for the
You change it, then you can
reaction.
hear it.
We
you
bring
change
the action. We live for the.
So if I do this, like
We bring the
action, we live for the reaction.
you see, that's all it does actually. And then I create a harmony.
We bring the action. We live for the reaction.
Kind of you
We
play
bring
chords.
the action. We live for the reaction.
We bring the action, we live for the reaction. We bring the action, we live for the reaction.
So that's how we do that. Any more questions about this?
You have a question, right?
No questions at all.
Here, one.
Over there.
Can you guys explain the chain?
Yeah, sure.
The chain?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, sure.
Let me see.
We bring
So to this.
So the first we just mentioned.
Yeah, so this is just, I want to make sure it keeps it all in the same key, and then I change it, because then it gets straight.
We bring the action, we live for the
It goes
reaction.
like wobbling
Yeah.
to everything. I just want to make sure it goes into one key.
Especially if you play like chords with 4 or 5 different notes.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to be a little bit off. So that's
Also,
why
especially because if we do this, the reason why I'm singing this so awfully in the beginning is because I want to have that kind of key, and then my voice sounds in that way. So sometimes if I record my vocal like already like that, it sounds like terrible. So
But also, like, you have to say it in like a kind of the same volume all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, like your whole, because we're using the same kind of
Yeah.
vocal recording take over and over. So if you make a big like change in volume, you will hear that plus 10 dB because you stacked it on top of each other. Vocal rider, yeah. So this kind of like what I just talked about. It just
Yeah.
makes it even better. So it's flatten out the volume. Flatten out.
that's all it does actually.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's not even that
Hard.
hard, or it's just you can get really creative while making a vocoder because you can harmonize whatever you want because you already had one take.
But
That's
it
the cool
sounds
thing
different.
about it.
Like sometimes
Yeah.
you just download the vocoder and you play it like just on your piano, and then it sounds different than
Yeah.
how we do it. We
Yeah.
just do it all separately.
Yeah.
And you can make nice bends, like, and you're more free to do whatever. Like
Yeah.
with some notes we bend a little bit, and so you have more creativity with that. More questions
All right.
about it?
Any more? You don't have to have any questions about it. Maybe you guys have any other questions about your career or about your music or what you can do. You can ask us anything right now. So,
That's all, unfortunately the last question.
Oh, really?
where over
Oh.
there? All right.
Who's
Who wants that question? You can
Don't
ask
be
it
shy.
now. Don't be shy. Sorry? Do we use Waves plugin? You mean? Yeah. Yeah, we use a lot. I don't know what we use, but
everything kind of.
yeah. I think mostly we use like my favorite EQing thing is this.
Yeah.
The Pro Q2.
Works really good.
Works really well. This reverb we use a lot, the Valhalla. So I think, and synth-wise, Silent One, Nexus, Serum,
a
all the
lot.
plugins you guys have as well. And the whole thing is to get creative with it, and then you get a result.
Just want to know about the reverbs.
Yeah.
You guys, how many reverbs do you have around the song?
Good question. Yeah, not too much actually.
No.
So that's the whole thing. If you stack so many synths, what we do on top of each other, you don't want every synth to have their individually reverb.
Yeah.
So mostly our reverb is on the bus, and then it's just cut off in the low frequencies, and sometimes just on the individual channels we have just a little reverb just to. But that's the thing, like you really have to know, like, okay, this synth creates a nice reverb, so we use this reverb, and with the other ones, they're just useful for the sound, but not for the reverb sound. So you don't give them reverb. So we are really picky with that. And on our vocals, we use like played reverbs because they just keep your vocal in front. If you use a Valhalla reverb on your vocal, your especially with pop music, your vocal will go a little bit more behind in your mix, and you don't want that. You want
Yeah.
always kind of your dry vocal in front, and then the reverb like behind it or like next to it. But you don't want your whole vocal to go back into your speaker.
It's also one of the reasons why you would put your vocal, like your reverb, all at the end of your chain.
Yeah.
And it, well, actually depends on how much you put in there. Sometimes it gives a cool vibe though. So,
Yeah. But with vocals, kind of this is
Yeah.
a kind of way you should always do it.
We once talked about that. You have the sub and X-Roll told you the sub is really important. My question is, do you have any tips to set it up properly if the room is not perfectly matched? Because I have sometimes the problem to actually match the volume perfectly.
For the sub?
Yeah, that I can cross my
Yeah. So
Okay,
what we do,
So
which
wait,
is,
wait,
yeah.
wait. So you're, because probably not everyone can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
So your question
Through the
is,
box.
you have a subwoofer, and you don't know how loud you want that subwoofer to be.
No, I know if the sub is enough.
Yeah, how can I trust my sub in a non-perfect room?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like what we like. It's funny that you mentioned Axwell because he learned us this when we made I Am. We sent him the track and he was like, "Okay, I like it, but the mix is awful." And in your build up, there was so much sub going on, and we didn't had a subwoofer at home. So he said like, "Okay, buy a subwoofer and you will hear it." So we bought it, and he said, "Play your track back only on sub." So that's what we still do. If you're almost at the finishing stage of your track, just mute your speakers and play it only on your subwoofer. Or if you don't have a subwoofer, buy one, or
I think,
or just take
Yeah.
out all your high and mid frequencies, and then you can really hear, and then compare it with other tracks, and then you know, okay, now it's going way too far on this or whatever. You notice like a lot of different stuff in your music.
I think the only way you can do that is actually by listening to a lot of reference tracks
Yeah.
on your subwoofer. So then you can hear like, okay, these tracks that are really cool in the club,
Yeah.
or on the festival, when I think like, wow, this sound is amazing, then listen to it in your room with your subwoofer, whatever kind of acoustics you have, probably that track would sound better or
And
not.
the best is in the same key. So if you have
Yeah.
if that's what we do as well. Like we have a lot of reference tracks in different keys. So if you make a track in F or in G, we reference it with an F and in G. So we actually know like
Yeah.
how much impact there should be.
All right, give a big applause for Sick Individuals.
All right, thank you.